Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the July 23rd, 2013 meeting of the Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen and Sewer Commissioners. We opened the meeting at 6:06 p.m. tonight and went immediately into executive session because we had matters relating to contracts and or litigation whereby public discussion of those matters would have been detrimental to the interests of the town. But now we're back for our regular session. May I have the roll call again, please?
Present tonight is Selectman Whiteside, Selectman Holmes, Selectman Teitelbaum, Selectman Slavin, Town Administrator Derek Sullivan, Town Council Richard Bowen.
At this point, I'd like to jump slightly out of order on the agenda and ask Dr. Rabinovich to come forward, please. Good evening. We're gathered here on the occasion of Dr. Rabinovich's impending retirement in a few days from the Wareham Public School System. He's worked here for many years, and what I'm going to do is ask Clerk Slavin to read the certificate of recognition into the record.
I want to just say a couple of things that it has been my pleasure to work in the town of Wareham for the past 21 years. Starting as the middle school principal, seeing that building built next door, renovated and built for 89 cents reimbursement on the dollar, under budget, and to continue working for the betterment of the children of the town of Wareham. And this is a great community. We have many resources in this town, but it isn't all about the shoreline and the water and the other natural beauties. It is the community, the members who live here, and the children. And we need to support them as we have and in the future. And I know that you're going to be working with the school board, and I wish you good luck with that. So thank you for the recognition. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh.
Dr. Rabinovich, we forgot to give you something. This is the list of the volunteers who are needed, the empty boards and commissions, so why are you walking away? I'm serious.
I believe I've been in the forefront of the papers, the blogs, and everything else for far too long, so I will be behind the scenes. Thank you.
Thank you again, Dr. Rabinovich. Next on the agenda, please.
Announcements. Oh. You want to do Mark? Just came in.
Well, since we're in the acknowledgement mode, we have Mr. Gifford here. Why don't we do that one as well? Good evening, Mr. Gifford. Why don't you come on up here? I'll do this one. Yep. right up here, and we've got to look this way, as I explained earlier, apparently last week, or the week before, we gave the award to somebody, and all the copies they were around wasn't the most photogenic end of them. Okay, this proclamation is from the Board of Selectmen of Wareham, Massachusetts. Awards this certificate of recognition to Mark Gifford for your 27 years of dedicated service to the town of Wareham, beginning with your position as park foreman, making your way as the Director of Municipal Maintenance in 1992. You are also a respected member of the Plymouth County Highway Association and the Barnstable County Highway Association. We, the Board of Selectmen, extend our congratulations and appreciation for your commitment and dedication, and as you retire, we wish you good health and good fortune in your future endeavors. Signed this 23rd day of July 2013, the Wareham Board of Selectmen, Peter Teitelbaum, Alan Slavin, Stephen Holmes, Patrick Tropiano, Judith Whiteside.
Alan? If you want, I'll take one of the pages and give it back.
Thank you again, Mark. Next item, please.
I have no bills, no documents. Next up is reappointment of poll workers and certified...
We're going to skip over citizens' participation again this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. Citizens'
consistent,
participation. Well, I don't see your wife in the crowd tonight, so I don't know why you'd want to do that.
That's right.
Do any citizens have anything they'd like to address the board on? Come forward, please.
Should have the announcements. Okay.
Sir, my name is Christopher Whitten.
Sit at the
Yes,
table.
we need you to sit and speak directly into the microphone. They're kind of finicky, so.
My name is Christopher Whitten. I'm the owner and operator of Neat Lady Fishing, the Lady K. It's the fishing boat at the Onset Town Pier. Basically, over the last 3 days, with the implementation of the kiosk boxes, you have basically put us out of business. Going from $70 a day for our customers to fish. In order for them to pay the amount of money they're paying, we went from $70 to $100 a day to fish. People are going other places. We haven't had a trip today. We don't have a trip tomorrow. We don't know when we're going to have another trip because of the people that we're turning away. It's a matter that needs to be addressed. I'm not looking for a free ride. We're not looking for anything more than a fair shake. I do have a proposal that we've drawn up for our customers, for the town, and basically, if we don't do something very soon, we're done. I'm going to need to do one or two things, find a new town to do business in, or put the boat up for sale, and we're done. Which you can clearly see results in basically a $40,000 a year lost revenue for the town of Wareham.
Does the board have any questions for this gentleman or comments to make?
Well, the parking wasn't free before, was it?
The parking on the pier
Right.
was $2 per hour, and at
Right.
the top of the hill, the parking was free.
Right.
There is no longer free parking at the top of the hill.
There is no more free parking.
There is no
Right.
more free parking. Exactly. So this is a huge issue. We had 4 customers of ours on Sunday get $30 parking tickets because I and my wife specifically told them, because we were not informed, that parking on the hill is free. We sent them up there. There are no signs. There is no information at the top of the hill stating that the kiosk box, which is located in the center of the parking lot, it is there, that you need to pay. There is nothing. These people got $30 parking tickets. they are no longer our customers. They will no longer come back to this town.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
So there is, behind the C.W. Bishop parking lot, approximately 60 spots that are not metered along the tennis courts.
Along the tennis courts.
Yes. That's not 2-hour parking. There's no meter on it.
I'm not just specifically understanding where you're talking about.
10th Street.
10th Street,
Yep.
down towards Lopes' Field?
No, if you don't mind if I approach you.
No, sir.
It's right along where that parking lot is.
Here's the C.W. Bishop parking. There's the 10th Street parking. That's all free.
This is all free?
Yeah. All we've done is meter this.
Okay, well, then, I don't know where these people were parked exactly, but unfortunately, they were there, it was not informed, and they did get tickets. That's the hill that we're speaking about, I'm pretty sure.
It does have a large pay here parking sign.
Microphone.
I'm sorry.
It does have a large pay here parking sign. I believe it's a blue rectangle right over it.
Right over
yeah.
the kiosk box itself.
Right.
But where you enter the parking lot, there is no signs here, 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 or here.
Okay.
So if you were to enter there, how would you know?
Okay, we'd ask that some of they're calling them docents, the people that work down here, have a representative up there to let people know as well.
Our customers arrive at 6 o'clock in the morning. There is no one there at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
If we were informed, we could have told the people that, yes, there is a box at the top of the hill. You do need to pay at the top of the hill. That's all we're asking for is
Okay.
communication. That's
Okay.
all we're asking for.
We had.
And I do have a proposal, and I would like you to look at it and hopefully bring it up as an agenda. I know you can't do it tonight, on a future time. That would hopefully work for the town and work for our customers as well. We're generating revenue for you, and we're keeping people coming to our town.
Let me just interject 1 second and ask Mr. Sullivan, who handles parking ticket appeals in the town? It occurs to me I don't even know that. I guess I've never received one in all my years here, which I must be lucky.
Lieutenant Walsek and Susan Green. So,
I'm just wondering if during this initial phase where people may not be 100% aware yet, perhaps.
they were not, my understanding is they were not enforcing as hardy during the first weekend because we knew that there would be some issues with people. But I would say if they've got some sort of proof that they used your boat, so that we don't have every single person from different spots that we're told come up, have them appeal it and reach out to Lieutenant Walsek.
We've been that route. We've been there. I did approach the officer that did write the tickets.
You haven't been there, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes, sir.
But
Yes,
what
sir.
I'm asking is you bring it, Lieutenant Walsek, who I will speak to about it. You went directly to the officer. We're now going to the person that runs the parking hearings that is able to control how the parking tickets are paid. So I believe that will be of a benefit to those persons that were hurt.
Mhm. And that was addressed. Again, you have to understand, I mean, these people are not from here. Boston, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, South Carolina. This is where our customers come from. They come to this town, bring business to this town, eat at Mark Anthony's, stay at the Atlantic Motel, stay at Bay Motor Inn, spend money at M&D's Bait and Tackle. These people spend all this money in this town. Okay? So now you're asking this individual from South Carolina who just got a parking ticket to go home and appeal it, and in, 3 weeks to come back to the Wareham District Court to fight a parking ticket?
Mr. Chair, I'm not smiling for what they, but if they're in their motels, they're probably not parking on the pier. And I'm not trying to be rude about that, but that's one of the things. So if you would like to reach
So they
out
think
to
that you think
if
that
you
they
would like to
walk from
reach out-
Atlantic Motel to
Hold
the
on 1
pier?
second. We maintain order in these meetings. We
Yes,
don't
sir.
speak
I'm
from the
sorry.
back. We're here to resolve issues one at a time as people come up. Thank you.
if you'd like to give me a list of the names, their contact information, then let's work with them if you don't mind, if you've got that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll work with you all the time.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
all I've ever wanted to do is work
And-
with the town and come to common ground.
And what I would ask is that we have,
$22, $23 for parking is unrealistic.
it's, if you go to Newport, you're paying $25. If you're going to other towns that are seaside communities, we're only paying $2.50 an hour for the first hour and $2 each additional. I've shown you where there's free parking for the people. We are in the midst of a pilot program. We also have an entire parking study being done.
Yes,
So
sir.
I
I'm
would
aware.
say that we are, we're working on this. I wouldn't even say that everything the way it is now is the way it's going to be configured at the start of next season. So that's why I appreciate what you're bringing forward.
Right.
And I'm not trying to put you out of business, but you also have to understand the town, it costs us resources to have these lots, to maintain them, to have people coming through. And at some point, and believe me, I appreciate your business probably more than you know because I'm the one that sees the money going in and out. So, but I also understand there's other factors. And we also need to take into consideration the residents and how we're going to make it that they have areas to park, that maybe they don't have 5 people parked in front of their house so they can't even get out of their driveways. So this is a large issue that we're actively trying to tackle. And we put out a press release, and I apologize that wasn't sent to you directly. So I think that would have been of a benefit so that these persons weren't hit. And I look forward to working with you on this.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. If you do look at other communities, if you look at Plymouth, if you look at Falmouth, you look at Hyannis, you look at any one of these other seaside communities that you are speaking about, that is totally not true. Plymouth charges $1 per hour, maximum $15 per day to park. That's what Plymouth charges. In Falmouth, if you go on a charter boat or if you go on a head boat, they actually give them parking spaces which are free for their business. If you go to Hyannis, it's the same thing. So what you're referring to as to Newport, which is not us, in Massachusetts, for our party and charter boat fishing industry, Onset is probably the one of the least friendly to us. And again, I would really appreciate you to look at what I have proposed, because you are not taking advantage at all in any way, shape, or form the pier.
Do you currently have any?
May and June, that pier is closed. You do not have people collecting money there.
That has ended now with these kiosks.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And that's where I'm saying is you have failed. The town has failed for a very long period of time to take advantage of our business. And that's what I'm saying here. What I have proposed is for the kiosk boxes and our customers is a $10 maximum, $10 per day for our customers. They pay $10 into the kiosk box. We give them a voucher. We staple their kiosk ticket to a voucher and put it in the window. They pay $10 all day.
Do you currently receive any free spots in the pier?
Excuse me?
Do you have any free spots in the pier? Or
The
dedicated
only free spot that I have is the one that I pay for.
Okay. That's part of the lease agreement.
I would say no. There is nowhere in the lease agreement that says that I get a parking space. Nowhere that I've ever seen. However, we've always had a space beyond that where it says, permitted vehicles only, and it says Lady K, and that's where I do park my vehicle. Other than that, we do not have any spaces, no.
Okay.
But as for the town, like I said, what we have proposed and is basically $27,600 for parking revenue just for our business, bringing to the town for our customers, and that's $10 a day for parking. It's very minimal. I think the amount of spaces that we take up is minimal.
I would,
And-
and I'm not trying to interrupt you anymore. We've had
Yes,
sort of a going back and forth. I look forward to working with you and working with you on this parking program. Please reach out to my office if we'd like to sit down together. What I would say is right now, the way the kiosks are, and they're not going to make the decision tonight, and I'm not, but maybe we can meet. I would like to try and schedule it next week if possible.
Anytime, like I said, for our customers and the way things have gone over the last few days, it was really bad this weekend, and we lost a tremendous amount of business.
And I'm sorry that you were hurt for that, so.
I understand
and
that.
Let's reach out, try and connect on the names, and I am willing and I want to work with you, and I like having your business and what you bring in, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak during citizens' participation? Sir?
Copy of the proposal. You got a copy of the, you have a copy of? Derek, do you have a copy
Good
of the
evening.
proposal? No, it goes to him.
Gentlemen, I've always considered my town a town of fairness,
Hi.
kindness.
Would you be so kind as to introduce yourself?
My name is Mark Gubin.
Thank
I
you.
live over in the Wee Weehannock Shores area. And I'm a local boater. I have a boat in Onset Harbor, as well as 34 other people do. And I have to admit to never being so embarrassed about my town in my entire life. I've been a resident here for 22 years. There's a gentleman that's in his 70s who's a Vietnam veteran who walked the point for 4 years in Vietnam, keeping his fellow soldiers safe. He came down Saturday to go to his boat to spend the weekend, as we often do. We go out Friday night, Saturday night, and we spend the evening on our boats. He came down Saturday morning with the intent of doing that and went to go out to his boat and saw the kiosk thing, and I saw him standing there, and he shook his head, and I said, well, what's wrong, Ray? He said, well, I come for 2 nights, Friday night and Saturday night, and for me to do that, it would cost me $48 a day at 24-hour day at $2 an hour. And he said, I just can't afford that. And I felt horrible for this man. This man's recently come down with a grade of cancer. His only enjoyment is going out to this boat. He's on Social Security, fixed income. His only enjoyment is to go out to this boat and spend his weekend. And I see this man deprived of that. And it's not fair. Now, I'm not proposing that we rewrite everything. And I understand your selectmen are in the business of doing the best they can for our town. But while we're doing the best for our town fiscally, shouldn't we look out for our citizens that are a little bit less fortunate, the handicapped, the veterans? As a local boater, I got together with my fellow boaters over the weekend, and we came up with a system that we feel would be fair to the town and would give you a fiscal base to start your year every year. And what we've proposed is for the local boaters, every year we purchase a harbor sticker, a services permit, if you will. And we pay anywhere from $100 on up, depending whether you're a resident, non-resident, size of your vessel. What we've proposed is to pay for a sticker, much like a beach sticker, which would be based on residency and non-residency. And we would pay up to, let's say, $100 for that right to have a spot. Now, granted, there's never 34 boats. There's never 34 people all at their boats at the same time. We might get 8, 10 people in the harbor at a particular time. Some people put their boat in and never come down. But the idea is there are maybe a half a dozen of us that do enjoy staying down for the weekend. We have absolutely no place to park. Now, I'm not a wealthy man, but I make a fairly decent living. And for me to have to come down, park my vehicle on the pier on Saturday morning or Friday evening as it would, and stay till Sunday evening, it's going to cost me almost 10% of my take-home income for the week. And like I said, there's only 34 of us. And it wouldn't be so bad, but they put a kiosk on the hill, too. And that was the one place we always looked forward to having a free, because we would drop our stuff and we'd go to the top of the hill and park our vehicle. Because we didn't want to take a space from another paying customer. All right? And we understand, the town needs money. We all understand the fiscal times we're in. But to take away from the veteran, to take away from the handicapped, and to take away, and like I said, I just don't want to lose sight of the local people here. I know we're trying to bring in decent tourism. The gentleman from the Lady K spoke very eloquently about his loss of business, and I can understand how that happened. When there's no place to, you go out for a day of fishing with those folks, and you're talking 7, 8 hours on the water. And if you go with your family and another family, by the time you're done, the parking is going to run you a nice chunk of change. So I can understand where he would need some type of a way to work with you folks. But we're town residents, or we're non-residents. And as a town resident, my family owns 3 houses, so we pay quite a bit in property tax. And I guess the way I'm trying to put it is, as a town resident, we're not looking for anything for free. We're not looking for a handout. What we're looking for is just access so we can get to our boats, stay on them for the weekend. We're willing, like I said, we're more than willing to pay a fee up to and equal to whatever we pay for our harbor sticker. Like I said, these are difficult times for anyone, and when you're taking 10% or more of a person's take-home income, just so they can have a little relaxation and enjoyment on the weekend. I mean, Mr. Holmes, you've had a boat for a number of years. I'm sure you can understand how if you went out and stayed the night on your boat with your wife, quietly, just enjoying the atmosphere, how coming back and having to pay $48.50 for that little bit of enjoyment, that little slice of life that you enjoy after a long week of work. I've raised 2 children in that harbor. One of my sons, luckily enough, was able to grow up and become a fireman in town. The other one works at another job in town, which I won't mention. But the things that my children learned out there are invaluable. They learned about the ocean. They learned about safe boating. They learned just about sea life, about marine life. And when you take this away from us, you take it away from our children. And I just had a new grandchild, and I would like the opportunity to show her these same things that I brought my children up with. And gentlemen, if you could find a way to make, like I said, there's only 34 of us, and there's only maybe a third of those people in the harbor at a time. And we won't take up your spots in the pier. We'll gladly use the tennis court area. If we could just get some type of a sticker that we could put to keep us. The kiosk, Sunday morning I went over to use one of the kiosks, and it wasn't working. So at the time I was told, don't worry about it. We're giving some leeway this weekend till everybody gets their feet wet with it. I came back to find a ticket on my windshield. I understand rules are rules, but at the same time, gentlemen, leniency and working with your own town resident. Like I said, even half of the people that are out there are residents, and probably half or less than half are non-residents. So non-residency, we're looking at what, gentlemen, maybe 15, 16 boats? And like I said, these people are they're not looking for a handout. They're looking just for some fairness. We pay for our harbor sticker. We pay for our dinghy sticker. We just want to be able to get out there and enjoy a beautiful harbor.
Okay, well,
Thank
thank
you.
you for coming before the board. Obviously, when you implement any kind of a new program, you go through growing pains. This board has been under pressure, and I think to some extent, quite rightly, from the citizenry, to make sure we are generating the parking revenues. I know Selectman Holmes worked diligently his whole first term trying to get parking revenues, trying to take these areas and do things with them. When you implement a program, there's always some unintended consequences.
I
So
agree.
give us a little bit of time here. We're listening to you.
Like I said, we're more than, even where we're already into the program, as a group, our harbor master, we could go to him, have him put together a list of names, and then perhaps you could just give us like a red dot. and we would gladly pay $100 per person, per boat, for the rest of the year, just to have one vehicle that we could park. I mean, we'd gladly give you the $100. And you know what, truthfully, if you look at that, that gives you a $3,400 base. Before your year even starts, that's $3,400 that you can count on.
Yeah.
Selectman Holmes?
Thank you very much. You know, I have a boat, and, you know, many times we shuffle people from my house, and they parked up behind my house to go down, but we're fortunate.
Well, can I have a spot there? Because
Yeah.
I'm really
Sure,
in a
yeah.
tough-
You know,
really in a
you
tough
know where I
stage,
live.
yeah.
You can come up and park in my yard anytime you want.
Thanks.
But here's the point. There's two sides. There's really only one side, and that's Wareham. We're sending people home from their jobs. People are losing their jobs from the town because of revenue. We have a tremendous source of revenue in the town that's never been captured, and that's parking. We have several pieces of town-owned land, all in that area down there in Onset. In other parts of town,
We're not asking
we have
for a
no
paved lots and lights.
no.
Just a place to put
Right.
our car.
I let
We
you
don't
finish,
have
so
to
let me
pay.
give you my thought, okay?
Certainly.
You know, we have Lopes Field, we have up near the school, we got the pier, we got, you know, other areas down there. And as Mr. Sullivan is developing this program and expanding that out, I think that there's enough room there to accommodate all of these things. It's not
Well,
something
I
that
wish I
can't
could
be
agree-
done.
I wish I could agree
Now,
with you.
are you going
but
to, now,
at
excuse me
times-
again, excuse me again,
Okay.
I didn't interrupt you. But am I saying that, you know, your boat's parked right here and you got a space right next to the boat or the dinghy? No. But if there's an area like we use up near the boat ramp, there's a ton of folks who park up there, right? There's no charge for that. They use the ramp, there's no charge for that. And I'm not saying that we should. All I'm saying is, we allow those people to park there, and they don't get any tickets. There's nothing, right? And they're able to launch their boat and enjoy the day in Onset. So all I'm saying is, as he expands his program out, there are places in the village right now where you can go park all day and night for
Well,
free.
The only problem
For
I have
free.
is at night, my wife sometimes doesn't want to stay as long as I do.
Understood.
So she'll walk to my vehicle and she'll go home.
Right.
And she'll come pick me up the next day.
Right.
But having
there
my
are
wife,
places-
having my
there
wife
are
walk
places-
to Lopes Field at 10, 11 o'clock at night, if something happens to her, I'm going to be...
There are places
Pretty
to
upset.
park up on the hill right now, and people are calling it the hill, for free. Today, right now.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I parked in the last parking spot on the hill where the basketball court is, the very last spot, and I got a ticket the week before for $30.
Well, that you can address with Mr. Sullivan. My issue is the parking program.
Well, if someone would
The
would
issue
maybe
of a
show us
ticket
where-
or
aside
day-to-day-
from Lopes Field, show us where some of these other areas are, so we can maybe have access to
And I
them.
think maybe
Or
we-
and we used to park over in the trailer park, but people stopped parking there because their vehicles got vandalized.
Oh, in the back there, yeah. So, there's room for everybody there.
Right, like I said,
But there is free parking
like I
today.
said, we're not looking for a handout. We're willing to pay whatever it takes to get a sticker.
You can park for
to be
free
able to-
today. You just have to walk down to the pier.
Yeah, I challenge you to come out and take a walk with me and show me where.
Well, Mr. Sullivan just
I'd be more
pointed
than
it out
happy
to the
to.
previous gentleman where all those spaces are.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes.
there's two things. The first thing is, per Mass General Law, in metered lots, handicapped people and disabled veterans, the handicapped people that have their placards, the disabled veterans that have the proper plates, are not charged, and they're not charged or ticketed. That's when we looked it up. So that those people are
Well, the
not
one
those
problem
people are
with that
not
is
being
there's only
affected.
one handicap spot.
They can
on the
park.
pier.
They can park wherever they want, and I'd really appreciate it if
Okay.
I wasn't interrupted. So they can park wherever they want on the pier. So the other thing is on the 10th Street lots. If you're facing the basketball courts, correct? All the way, the last one on the right, there are two handicap spots. So unfortunately, if you parked in one of those, it might
No, I
have been for
parked
hand.
all the way down to the left.
Okay.
The
But
last
I've
spot
got
on
the,
the left.
I've gotten, if I may approach you to show you, I think we're talking about the same spot. Do you remember what the ticket was for?
Yes, it was parking in a restricted area.
Okay.
It wasn't a handicap,
Well,
because there's actually a spot for that.
Well, the good news is, and I'm sorry that if you received a ticket in that
That's-
area
that's-
because
That's not what we hear about. What we hear about is, I'm just trying, in behalf of my local boaters, I'm just trying to get us a place that's safe, that we can, if our wives want to go home at night and walk our children up the hill, there's lights, there's security. I mean, because, let's be honest, our summer police force is only here for 3 months. After that, we're on our own. And like I said, God forbid anything ever happened to my wife walking up that hill, because I would be very upset. And I would definitely discuss with my attorney my legal rights. But again, gentlemen, thank you for your time, and I really hope you take this under advisement. Like I said, we're willing to pay whatever it takes to make something happen in that theater, if you could. Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak?
Courtney, I'm on 10 Pearl Ave in Onset.
You need to come right up and speak into the microphone,
Okay.
or they'll never hear you on TV.
Okay, 10 Pearl Ave in Onset. I'm just here, well, I came on a different matter, but it's not on the agenda, so I'm here about the trash issue, the carry in, carry out. It's not working. If I brought up all the trash that I've collected every day on the beach, you guys would have to get a dumpster to fill it. And it's not working. And my question, and it might sound rude, is does anybody on the board, I've got petition for all signed voters in Onset. Does anybody on the board care about Onset? Because it's almost like we're cutting off our nose to spite our face. We want
Just one
I'm just
second.
asking,
This
can I
issue
just
goes.
finish?
Yeah, but that's.
You want revenue coming into Onset? Would you want to go visit a place that's littered with trash? Honestly, if the residents, there's a lot of residents like myself that get out there and daily pick up bags of trash. If it wasn't for that, the place looks like a dump. I mean, I don't want to live in a dump. I pay my taxes, my neighbors pay their taxes. It's just a shame that, and the joke about people will get ticketed, who's going to pass out these tickets? I thought the town has no money. So who's going to walk around passing out tickets for littering? It's really upsetting. I mean, I don't know if any of you live in Onset, but, okay, we need somebody with a voice. We need somebody with a voice that will do something, because we're going to charge for parking, fine. Come into our beautiful village, and we do have a beautiful village. I sit every day and look and say, I am so lucky to live here. Do I want to live in a pigsty? No. So do I spend hours picking up trash, and do I instill in my grandchildren and my children, you have to pick up trash no matter what? I mean, it's just a shame. So it's like you want revenue to come into the town. You want to charge people to park, but you come into our pit, because that's what it looks like. One of the nights I took a walk with my granddaughter, I filled 6 bags of trash. 6 bags. And just a short walk from my house to the band shell and back again. I mean, and that's not a far walk. I mean, it takes me 5 minutes. Every day at the beach, at the end of the day, and I sit across from the Harbor Watch Inn, every single day I pick up at least 3 bags of trash. So what are we going to do about it? All right, if we're getting people to pay for parking, let's put some trash people on. Let's get those trash buckets back. It took 3 hours for them to jackhammer the trash bucket away from Nana's ice cream. 3 hours. Who got paid for that? I've seen guys on a Sunday, time and a half, mowing the lawn down by across from the boatyard. Who's paying for that?
Well,
but we can't pick up trash?
The whole issue here, and the reason that Mr. Sullivan requested our approval to stop the barrel program townwide, not just in Onset. You're from Onset.
Yes.
I'm right across from the Tempest Knob boat ramp, and believe me, over the decades, I've seen trash come and go like you wouldn't believe down there as well. The issue was that, number one, we didn't have the money to empty the barrels on the weekends. Number two, by having the barrels out, it attracted not only trash from day trippers to the beach, but it also attracted resident trash, people who didn't want to pay the $30 for the dump sticker.
That's a shame.
And it is a shame,
It
but
is a shame.
unfortunately,
People are
it's
cheap.
what we live in. This is an experiment. We're seeing how it works.
It's not working. I'm
Well-
here to tell you it's not working. And something's got to happen before next summer. Or no one's going to want to come to Onset. You know, really, no one is going to want to come to a place that's something. Like in my letter I've written, you have trash, you bring trash, it's just, it escalates from trash to crime to, it's just a mess. And we don't need that. We have a nice little village. This could be a money maker. Onset could be a huge money maker. But I mean, if I had to go in, especially, I wouldn't even go for free to a dumpy place. It's like, so it's just, I wanted to bring this.
No, well,
and
thank
just
you for
voice
coming
my
forward.
opinion. Thank you. I'll
You
leave
know,
this.
before you go, you talk about onset, right? I had one of those, I had that blue container service. What is that?
ABC, I have ABC.
BF,
I put all the
BFIers.
trash in my ABC.
You know the big blue
That's
trucks,
what I've got.
right?
Yep.
So I put the barrel out on the Wednesday. They emptied it on the Thursday on Onset Avenue. 9 out of 10 times before I brought that barrel back in the back of the house, by Thursday night it was full of trash. Wasn't mine.
Mine's full of the town trash. What do you think?
It wasn't my trash. The guy emptied it in the morning, and people who are renting down there threw the trash in my barrel, and then I carting a full barrel back up behind the house again. So I said it a few weeks ago, and I didn't mean to be disrespectful to good people, but people are pigs.
Yeah, they are pigs. I say it every day while I'm
You know, I've raised 2 kids, and I have a grandson who's a year old. I've never left a dirty diaper anywhere. Never downtown, on the beach, anywhere. Nowhere. That's how I was brought up. Unfortunately, people today, a lot of people don't care.
on the beach. I've said to people, you're not leaving that there. I end up picking it up.
But-
Rubber gloves and bags in my bag.
But before we end the conversation, though, you have to remember a couple things. The people who picked up those barrels are out of a job. We don't have them anymore. So we're trying to raise revenue to put those people back, or to get some kind of maintenance people back.
Is the parking money going to go to?
Well, I would hope, I don't know that legally you can, I don't think legally you can say that, but we would hope that we'd be able to get some of the services that have been cut back into the town. You can't do that without money when you send those people home.
The trash hurts everybody. The businesses, the residents, and the tourists.
I live there and I have to deal with the trash as well, and sometimes they just throw it on the front yard.
I know that.
Okay, well, do we have anybody else for citizens' participation? Yes, come forward, please.
My name, can you hear me?
Yep.
My name's Slim Pekarski. I live in Onset also. I've been here about 13 years. For 13 years, I put a barrel out in front of my house because the town wouldn't put a barrel on our beach because we're the backside, we're Muddy Cove. You can get one at the boat ramp, you can get one up on the bluff and all that, but you can't get one back there. So I purposely put my barrel on my corner so that people would not throw it into the woods to Standpipe Hill and all that, and they would put it in my trash. So I've been emptying trash for the town for 13 years. But that's not my point while I'm here. I'm actually here. I could talk about any one of these things. I could talk about the trash that we walk around. I've seen her walk around. She walks by my house all the time picking stuff up. I could talk about the curbs that I watched an old woman fall over and break her nose and wreck her knee on because they wouldn't fix the curbs on our street. When the curbs break, they just tar them. I could talk, but my point of coming tonight is the boats. I own a house in Onset, and I pay for my house. I pay, I think they call it a second home mortgage on my boat. I believe last week when they had, I think it was last week or the week before, when they had the meeting about the where your parking was, they had a sticker, and you could put a sticker where you thought good parking needed in front of your house. Someone who came to the meeting told me about that. I don't know if it was a selectmen's meeting or not. But it was a map of the town, and the people who went to the meeting put where they were concerned about parking.
Was
I
this the,
missed that meeting, so I don't know for
I
sure.
don't mean to interrupt, but this was
Yes.
the Community and Economic Development.
I'm not sure what meeting it was, as I said.
Sal Pina, was a gentleman named Pina there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, this
I
was...
just heard about this map.
Somebody on the parking issue.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I missed that part of it. But, so I'm paying for my house and parking in front of my house, which would be nice and great. But I'm also paying second mortgage or whatever for my boat. I'm paying the excise tax for my boat to be out there. I'm paying for my mooring, because they're private moorings, we have to do that. They switched from every 3 years inspecting your mooring to every 2. They raised the rate of the mooring itself. They started charging $50 to put your dinghy at the dock. That's all great. But the idea of having to pay to park my car there in front of what is my second home in the town of Onset, it doesn't sound fair. And I understand he says we're willing to pay up to $100. I really am not. I think I'm paying a lot now just to have that there. Okay.
Yes.
You have a question?
Steve?
Where's
You're
what?
near Standpipe Hill,
Am I near Standpipe Hill?
Yes.
Yes.
but you're talking about pier parking is what you're talking about.
Well, I have to get my stuff from my boat up there. My boat is anchored out in front of the pier. But so you have to get your stuff there if you stay for the weekend. I can cart it up there, and we can all chain carts up to everything up there so that we can walk up there and pull a cart, which is fine. But I'm agreeing with my other boaters that they should have a spot. I mean, they pay for a mortgage on a second home. It's called a second home when you do it for your boat. And it sounds like if we're allotting spots for people in front of their houses in Onset and their vacation homes in Onset, we should allot a spot for the people who pay to have their second home on the water. That's my thoughts.
Thoughts on the
Any
board?
questions?
Well, I know that what you're saying doesn't quite dovetail with the previous speaker, but you're alluding to the same concerns here, which is having to pay to access your boat.
I think I'm paying a lot already. Excise,
Yeah.
I mean, the taxes to the town already, the taxes to the excise on the boat, the dinghy, the anchor, the
Yeah,
inspection.
I'm not always happy when I write out the checks either, but
No,
you
I
know,
understand that, but I'm not a rich person. Not every boater is a rich person.
no,
I guess,
don't-
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I guess the question is, where did you park last summer?
I parked across the street because when I first started going up there, I parked on the street because it wasn't 1 hour or 2 hour parking. Then last year, I brought my stuff down, and if you went through, you could talk to the human who was there, and they said, I'm going to drop my stuff off. You'd go up and you'd park up on the hill because the
Right.
hill was free. Now, I understand he says there's 18 spots on the hill. How many spots were up there near the tennis courts?
Approximately 60.
So, at the tennis courts, that strip that goes down
Yeah.
the side?
That's what I was told by the park.
There's not 60.
All right,
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
listen, we can't have outbursts.
No,
People need to
I'm
come
sorry,
up and speak into the microphone. If you've had your say, then you need to respect the person who's sitting here talking to us now. Thank
Along
you.
the tennis courts, I can assure you that it's not 60 spots. It might be, and there are cars parked there too. Plus, he's going to have his fishermen there in the morning. So
Right,
there's
but
not going to be spots.
where did you park before 3 days ago? That's
3
what I'm-
days
that's what
ago,
I'm
I
asking.
parked on. Let's see, I went down, I dropped my stuff off, and I went and I parked up on the hill in the free parking. You know, I mean, you pointed out that handicap parking is up there. If that person wants a handicap parking, then he can go down to his boat. But the purpose of handicap parking is to be near where you're going because you're handicapped.
No, I'm sorry.
Well,
on the
I
pier
got this from
itself.
my mother, too, so I know this is right.
Right,
If
I
you
am-
have a handicap
Right.
placard, you don't have to put money in the meter.
Right. Okay. There's one. I don't know how many
My
spots are
mother
on.
told me that because I didn't know that.
I don't know
So-
how many spots there are on the pier for handicap parking, but
No, you don't have to have a spot. They can
you
go
park
into
anywhere.
You
any
can
one
park
of
in
those
any
spots.
spot with that
Alright, okay,
handicap.
I'm not
and
even-
I think a
I'm not aware
veteran
of that.
is a disabled veteran or something.
Disabled
It's the same.
veterans
Alright,
with the
that's
proper
good.
plates and
Okay.
such. So
So you're saying that, so I understand, you're saying that before 3 days ago, if you parked in that lot, you didn't have to pay the $2 an hour,
no.
right?
Okay.
And now you're saying that if you park in that lot, you have to pay the $2 an hour.
Right. What'll happen is all those people. I've been watching all those people who don't want to pay for parking are parking in front of other people's houses.
Well, we live that way in Onset, unfortunately. That's just a fact of life there.
No, I understand that too. I mean, but they're just parking in front of other people's houses.
Well, I think Mr. Sullivan has some new areas to look at as we develop that parking plan down there. There's a lot more space that's going to be metered or kiosk, I guess is the word. And, we'll make it work.
No, on the other. I'm sorry.
I don't know that it'll be free. I'm not saying that
No,
you'll
I have
park
one more
for free,
question.
but
When
I
buy-
think that a maximum per day, I've seen that in some kiosk lots where
When
there
I-
is a maximum. That's an issue. Is there a
Is there-
maximum today
for the lots,
for the kiosk?
right now they're running 24/7.
Right.
When you're on a boat, you have to keep going in and paying for it, but it's going to run up really fast. You're on there for 24, 48 hours.
Yeah.
My other question is, on the dump sticker, when you get the beach pass for the other beaches, is there a spot for Onset to park? Because you park at those places for free when you get your beach pass with your dump sticker.
Yep.
Does that cover
Yeah.
Onset anywhere? It's part of Wareham, right?
It covers if you go out around the point.
The
that
Shell
lot,
Point?
that parking lot
On
with the
Shell
gate.
Point?
The one with the gate?
Is that Shell Point? Is that what
Yeah,
you're
that's
talking
Shell Point, the very tip of Shell
So
Point.
we can
There's-
park there?
It's on there that
With
you
the
can
dump
park
sticker?
there if you have a beach sticker.
Yeah, if you have a beach sticker. I
Okay.
think there's only 15 or 16 spots there, though,
Well,
which
it's
is...
just another spot.
That's
Yeah.
that's another spot that you've paid for if you have the sticker.
If I have
Well,
my
this
dump,
is
I have a
parking.
dump sticker. I pay for a dump sticker too.
I see the harbor master's raising his hand. Perhaps he can come up
I'm all
and...
set. Thank you, guys.
He wants to wade into the parking dilemma
Thank you.
here.
Yeah.
Sorry, just quickly on the parking sticker. It covers Swiss Beach, Swiss Neck, and Little Harbor for the residential parking. Shell Point right now does not have any. It's first come, first serve on the parking program.
So Shell Point is completely unrestricted?
Sign there.
It's unrestricted right now for Shell Point. Yeah, there's no. It's been.
I'm guessing that might be decree land, and we probably couldn't...
But if you have a sticker,
I-
you
Have a
don't-
resident.
That's what the argument was the decree. So I just want. Didn't want to.
if you have
Okay,
a
thank
sticker,
you.
though, you don't pay to park there.
You don't have to have it. There's no pay. I'm sorry. There's no paying at all at Shell Point. It's first come, first serve. Resident, non-resident, whoever comes down with a vehicle.
So the beach passes don't cover onset beaches anywhere.
Well, it's free. That parking lot's
Well-
free for now.
That spot's okay.
Even if they did, I don't know that they would... there's no dedicated parking in exchange for a beach sticker, I guess is the way to put it to you.
Right,
in
but there
onset.
are at those other beaches though, correct, in Wareham?
There are... Little Harbor is residents only.
Well, I don't know, whatever he just said, the pass covers.
Yeah, it covers Swiss Beach, Swiss... No,
So on
I'll have
all
him...
those beaches, all
He's the
those-
expert, so we'll
If
have him.
we have four options with parking. Excuse me. We have four options with parking. We have a resident beach sticker, a non-resident beach sticker, a guest placard, which is about a half sheet of paper. It's fluorescent orange, and we also have a one-day pass that we sell. The resident, non-resident, it can go to Swiss Beach and Swiss Neck. There's two parking lots right next to each other. Little Harbor is strictly resident or guest placard. You have to be a resident regardless to go there, or you can have the guest placard in your windshield and go to Little Harbor.
So what is
Which sticker do you have? Do you have the blue one?
Whatever they gave you on the dump sticker.
With little square. If you have the dump one, you do have a resident beach sticker. So you have Little Harbor, and you have the two parking lots down at Swiss Beach, as well as the trash.
Nothing in onset.
Nothing in onset. No.
And just for your information, I don't believe that the sticker program for the beaches, we used to charge separately for that, I believe, and then,
Yes, we did, because the debt reduction from the transfer station was reduced so much, it was cheaper to combine the sticker, and some people got some substantial savings because they used to have to buy the $30 dump sticker and a $20 beach sticker, and we combined everything into 30, and then we did the seniors, we went to 15 with the combination sticker because there was no senior rate for trash before, so they used to have to buy a $5 sticker as well as the $30 trash sticker for the two. So by consolidating the two, we tried to reduce the price a little bit, and it just kind of streamlined the sticker process.
Not for onset.
yeah, and just going back in history, I want to say, I remember beach stickers going back, I think, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, back into the 70s in this town anyway. And I don't believe at any time that would, for example, get you onto Onset Pier.
I believe,
So
I'm not correct, and I'm going by what
But I might be wrong.
historical librarian told me, was that the pier was actually built for the boaters, so I don't know.
It was actually
Way back in its start.
in the
that's
20s.
initial
Actually, it's a
start.
town. It's
Yeah,
a
it was
ta-
built for boats and for the boaters.
and it replaced a pier that predated the actual 1916 decree, which is why that is something we can charge for, whereas parking on the decree lands we can't touch. Believe me, we'd love to, but we can't.
Okay.
So, listen,
All right, I'm just
we
I'm
know,
just trying to
we
come
know,
up with
we
a
know.
solution to this.
Yeah,
know?
it's not perfect, and there's always, unintended consequences that occur when you implement a new program. Certainly, I don't think this board is unreasonable.
No, I just want to be heard, and
Yeah.
like I said, I'm not rich, and $100 for another sticker to put on a car to put in the parking lot is not something I can afford.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming forward with your concerns. We have someone else. Selectman Slavin?
Gary, there is a limit usually on some of the parking lots. I know we have some of them, we have no overnight parking, right?
I'm sorry.
Some of the parking, there's no overnight parking.
I don't think we have any. I think it's all based on enforcement. So I mean, the piers actually listed on the front. It's been there for years. That says no overnight parking as you pull in. It also says no campers, no trailers. No, these are all things that do show up with the businesses that do take place. So I mean, we've been, this is a work in progress here, and I do feel for the people that are going to park their cars down here and the rates and the changes and everything like that. But I mean, yesterday we sat through a meeting for 2 hours trying to hash these out. My concerns were long-term parking for boaters. I mean, these were things that I addressed also that we're trying to hash out. We're looking at areas and trying to fix this problem. The past 2 days we've been at the police department with Acting Chief Walsh and Lieutenant Walchek, and this is something that we're aggressively trying to make. We got to streamline this. So, I've kind of gotten pulled into the two with it, and I have no problem trying to help out and make this work. But I do feel people's pressures, and I understand the boat issue. The Lady K I deal with on a regular basis. I mean, we come in and out of dockage. We've had things that we work with him on too, and he does bring a draw to the town. So. I'm sure we can work something out.
The other piece I ask is on the pier itself. I believe that the town in 1988 took state funds for the pier as well as
1987. The town was awarded funding
Finished
through boat access or public access,
Yep.
which is boat excise tax, to rebuild the pier. First and foremost, I think it's access to our beaches and coastline, and then there's parking.
Now,
So-
that money taken, basically, like a lot of times we take state money, that means you can't have a separate provision for residents per se, whatever, that parking is open to anybody.
It's open to all.
Yeah.
I do think that it's turned over to the town, so I think you want to look at where it falls, because once they make it, then there's something that takes place where the state will turn it back over to the town. Like Tempest Knob, we had to accept their policies, so
Yeah.
we had to accept what they dictated to us for what we could charge, whereas the pier, I don't think that took place in anything that I've read so far on the Onset Pier.
But we had to have it open to resident, non-residents. I know. I just want people to understand that we just can't do one thing for somebody and not have it available to everybody else if it's a state paid for facility.
Well, you got to look at when the state money came in and what regulations were in place when the money came in. So there's no blanket answer to that. Did it come in and it also depends sometimes on how the grant was couched.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I know Tempest Knob. Believe me, do I know Tempest Knob? That's open to anybody in the world with a boat trailer and $5. That used to be residents-only spot for boaters to park for the town of Wareham. And once we took the $300,000 to fix it, and I believe it was from DEP, we accepted the money through a grant program they had to renovate boat launch facilities. That was it. We could no longer discriminate against anybody. We had to accept all comers, and it's first come, first served there. So there's a lot to look into here, and going forward, I would say that this is all new. There's going to be some growing pains, but we're trying to address some of the issues of parking and onset. Again, I know Selectmen Homes, for years on the board has been trying to push comprehensive parking solutions for onset. And this is the first phase in dealing with parking from a revenue standpoint. Going forward, we're going to have to look at it from a resident standpoint and try to make sure that people can park in front of their houses. How do we do that? Do we do like Cambridge does with residents-only parking up and down certain streets? Do you get an extra portable sticker to give to a guest to park on a weekend? I mean, I don't know, but these are all things that I think as a responsible board, we're going to want to look at. So thank you for everybody. I know sometimes the issues get contentious, but, thank you for coming forward.
Mr. Sullivan.
The Board of Selectmen is not setting parking policy in the town of Wareham. That's under Mr. Sullivan's jurisdiction. So if you have an issue about parking, don't wait till Tuesday night, because it's not going to be resolved here. Those are issues under Mr. Sullivan's purview as the town administrator. We can give him advice on things, but he's the one who runs that day-to-day operation with his department heads. Right, Mr. Chairman?
Well, you're getting into parking policy, which is a little bit different than day-to-day administration of
Well,
existing
where he
policy.
puts
So
it,
this,
that's his responsibility to deal with that.
to administer what is in place now is correct.
Thank you.
Sir, please identify yourself and...
Glenn Morrison, Onset. I've been a resident here 25 years. Every day I walk the town of Onset. There is rubbish everywhere. I don't want to beat all these different things into the ground about parking and rubbish, but I think coming from the city of Beverly originally, on the North Shore, I know you've lost jobs, but you got to keep this place clean, or it's going to end up like 1951. And you all know what happened then, right? In the early 50s, this place went downhill. And it's taken a long time for it to come back up. And it looks to me like with the Lady K, she brings in a lot of fishermen. The Viking brings in people. Now, the Viking going to come in here next week and tell you they're out of business too? Because they can't park the vehicles? I don't know. Probably. I mean, their people park on the hill. Lady K's people park on the hill. I'm not against the fish boat. I'm not against the Viking. I'm for the town to get parking money, but I think they have to be very careful of how you get it. I don't go to the town of Plymouth during the summer because you can't park. You get there, there's a parking meter. It's full. You ride around the town, you get frustrated, and you leave. It's easier to park in the city of Boston than it is in Plymouth. So I think you ought to be very, very careful what you do with your parking. And as far as the fees, it's great getting the money in. And maybe you're going to use it for something really well. We hope so. But with the town full of rubbish, now you got a fish boat maybe leaving. Then you're going to have the Viking go, because they're not going to hang around. They're going to go somewhere else. It's very difficult. Maybe for the town residents, when we have overflow parking, we open up the gates. Somebody's got a magic key there for the gate by the tennis court on the other side of where those parkings that he's talking about. Maybe that should be opened up for residents only. And when you're a resident in town, you go down to town hall, show your permit like you do to get your beach sticker or whatever, and you get a little tag to put on your windshield. You park your vehicle in there. She can go down and use her boat, park up in the grass there. You've got that school closed down, basically. And the longer that thing stays the way it is, it's going to collapse. And now probably because you haven't used it as a school, you can't open it as a school anymore because it's got a lot of wooden floors in there. But anyway, that's another item. But I think you got to be very careful what you're doing with your parking. I agree you should get parking, but you can't be running people out of business either. Because as soon as business leaves, there goes Onset.
Well,
okay?
Mr. Sullivan is working, and we're working
with
him
I
to try to find the appropriate balance.
I know.
So
you got to take all considerations because you don't want to drive people out of town.
No, we don't.
But you don't want to cripple the people that are paying the taxes here either.
Yeah. But
Because like the gentleman said, $48 to stay in his boat overnight. I have a sailboat too, but I'm not going to pay $48 to stay on my boat every night. That's crazy. So, you just have to be careful. Onset's a beautiful place, but you don't want to destroy it because it is coming up out of the, shall we say, cellar?
Yeah.
Yeah, the doldrums. You're right. The doldrums. And you got to be very careful because it can go right back down there in 2 days. Look at his boat now. His boat's sitting there. The Viking's going to be sitting there too in another couple of weeks. You watch. So be careful what you do, okay? Thank you for your effort.
Thank you for coming forward. Anyone else for citizens' participation?
Hi, my name is Bethany Gay, and I'm a resident of Wareham, and I'm coming from the library. I just wanted to tell you that we're going to have a Gateman night on August 2nd at 7 p.m. as a library fundraiser from the Friends of the Library. So I just wanted to make that announcement.
Okay, thank you. Clerk Slavin, could you make a note of that to announce again at next week's meeting, because that will be on the 30th, and you can get the word out there again for it. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, please.
Let's go back to the beginning. Selectman Whiteside, any announcements?
Just one. Last week I incorrectly referred to Ricky Aruda. I called him Robert Aruda, and I apologize to his family. As everyone knows, it was Richard Aruda was our first fatality for the Vietnam conflict.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes, I was away on vacation last week, as you know, so there's no business visit this week. However, on Sunday night, our 12-year-olds from the Wareham Little League, the A team for the 12-year-olds, won the Middleborough baseball tournament. Came in first place. They were undefeated going into Sunday. They lost one game against Middleborough and then had to play the same team. They played the first game at 4:30 and then had to repeat the performance at 7. And I will go a little more in detail and say that after a couple of innings, we were losing 7-0 to Middleborough. And then Lieutenant Walsh's son came in. They switched pitches and put him in, and he shut Middleborough down pretty much for the remainder of the game. And there was a young catcher there. His name was Sean Holmes, and he is related to me. That's my boy. And he came up for his first at-bat with the bases loaded and hit a grand slam, which brought the score to 7-4. And from that point, Wareham just kept driving and chipping away. And they finally ended up winning the game 10-7 to take the championship. Their next tournament is coming up. I want to say it's the first weekend in August. It'll be a tough tournament. It's over a couple of weekends, and that'll be out in South Dartmouth. So kudos to those kids. They didn't give up when they were down in that first couple of innings, 7-0. They came back and fought. And congratulations to all the players and the coaching staff. They all did a great job. So thank you.
Well, thank you for that announcement, proud papa.
Yeah. If Kevin was here, he would be up at the table.
If Patrick were here, he'd be grinning from ear to ear, but that's...
I have one announcement. The Main Street Madness is this Friday. I believe it's about 11 o'clock to 4 in the afternoon. Please come out and support your town businesses on Main Street. Mr. Titlebaum.
No announcements this week, thank you.
Okay, back to where I started. I have no bills, no documents. Next item is reappointment of poll workers and certified waymasters. If you'll indulge me, what I'll do is I'll read off all the names.
I don't think you need to do that. I think all you need to do is just vote to reappoint the poll workers as listed on the document supplied by the town clerk.
Okay, if you like.
That'll save us about 10 minutes.
Easy.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Thank you for your service, and we look forward to seeing you at the polls going forward.
Okay. Next one is going to be the certified weighers.
These all expire on the same date, I believe.
Yep, they all. Same thing again, would you like?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Certainly. You do a blanket motion?
Go ahead. You can do it.
Okay. I move that we appoint the all those who have applied for reappointment as certified weighers in the town of Wareham to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2014.
Second.
Motion made by Selectman Titlebaum, seconded by Selectman Holmes. Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? 4-0-0. Next item, please.
What's this?
We have to sign all those. Make a motion to accept and hold the executive session minutes of July 9th, 2013.
Second.
Okay. Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 4-0-0. Next on the agenda, we have the application for the farmer's market, but I would hold off on that until we discuss and set the fee first. So if we take that out of order, we can let the Westport Rivers folks know what we're going to charge them, which I'm sure they'd like to know. So going forward, if we could take this item out of order, this is item 8D on the agenda? Mr. Sullivan, could you give us just some brief background on this? I know we discussed it last week, but for Selectman Holmes' benefit.
Yes, I believe this is for wineries to come to farmers markets. They need to go through a significant amount of work. I think is an understatement to even reach that level. They need to produce that it's agriculture, and it seems that the state is pushing for local businesses such as the wineries, which is something that's helpful. And what they're seeking is coming to the farmers market at Tyhonet Village and be able to, and they've put together a great supervisory record, have a couple little samples of the wines and then sell the bottles. So this isn't going out to every corner of the town and mass sales. It's something, it's more of a cultural event, I'd say, although I'm sure you welcome any sales and getting the information out there about the vineyards. So what this really came down to was setting the fees, and there was some confusion as to how you would set it. Is it in competition with some of our liquor stores and such? And they brought forward to us what the state actually, I believe, puts for the fee of $50. And I think there was some confusion with all of us as we had not done this before, and I think it's really spelling out that $50 is the fee, and it's something that that helps as a cultural event for the town, I would suggest. So.
And just speaking further with the fee aspect of it, there was some question as to what duration such a permit would be good for. And the ABCC proceeded to punt that question right back to us and say, well, you can set it for as few or as many farmers market sales days, I guess is what we'd call them, you would like to do. So I know Mr. Sullivan would be very happy if we hit people up for $50 every time they did it. However, I think fairness, and I would certainly think that this maybe would be something for the board to consider by way of a motion, would be to set the fee for $50 a month while the farmers market is in session. I think that would be more in keeping with the amount of sales you could expect at the farmers market, but yet won't have Mr. Sullivan glaring at us if we were to go that route. So with that in mind, what does the rest of the board feel? Selectman Whiteside?
I think that's reasonable. The $50 a month.
Selectman Holmes? $50 a month?
Sounds reasonable.
Selectman Slavin?
As long as it's allowable.
It's allowable. We've got the correspondence from the ABCC saying you people determine the duration, but you can't charge more than $50. So, well, may we have a motion, please?
Motion to set the farmers market style of winery license for $50 a month
Second.
under Chapter 138, Section 15F of the General Laws.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made by Selectman Slavin, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. Anything else on the question? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 4-0-0. And now, if we could jump back on the agenda, we can consider the application for farmers market wine license by Westport Rivers. And sir, if you could introduce yourself and just tell us what you're looking to do here.
Okay, my name's Rob Russell. I'm representing my family's farm. We run a business on our farm. It's called Westport Rivers Vineyard and Winery. And what we're looking to do is...
Sir.
Yeah,
Right
You've got to speak directly into it. These microphones don't have a great range, so you almost have to be kissing it when you're speaking into it.
All right. Start over?
Start over.
Please.
All right. My name is Rob Russell, and I'm here representing my family's farm. We run a business on the farm, Vineyard and Winery. It's called Westport Rivers Vineyard and Winery, and we grow 80 acres of grapevines in Westport, Mass. And we're looking to come to the Makepeace Farmers Market in Wareham, which is every Wednesday right now, and through their season, and to attend that to, as you already mentioned, allow people to sample a quarter to half-ounce samples of up to 5 of our wines, and if they choose to make a purchase of one of them.
Okay, why don't you tell us a little bit about your vineyard while you've got the spotlight?
All right. It's a family farm. We've run it as a winery since 1982. And we grow things like Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Riesling. And because this is a cool climate, we're on the south coast here. It's a maritime climate, same as yours. We would be considered a cool grape growing region, and we focus on whites and sparkling wines. When I say sparkling wines, I'm talking about wines like champagne. This is not really a great red wine growing region.
Okay. Is your Riesling on the fruity or dry side?
It's dry. It's dry but fruity.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from the board? Selectman Holmes?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. On these hours, it says from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., June 12th through November 27th.
Correct.
And then 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on October 12th and October 13th. I'm assuming that's Columbus Day weekend. But if the farmer's market is every Wednesday, this license is for every day.
That would have to be corrected then.
I'm sorry?
That would have to be corrected then. Our certification from MDAR, from Mass Department of Ag Resources,
It's
I
for
believe, reads every Wednesday.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
So maybe when we
Yeah, I'm
typed it
just
up.
saying is I'm looking through the license to see what because this expires on November 27th, 2013. And then it says here the hours of operation are 2 to 6 p.m. through November 27th. Have you got something different?
No,
Alan?
no, it's Wednesdays.
You said Wednesdays.
So this should say every Wednesday with the exception of October 12th and October 13th.
The 12th and the 13th are the Makepeace Cranberry Festival.
Right.
Okay,
The
so
farmer's
it's
market.
every Wednesday and the 12th
Exactly,
and 13th.
and-
Which is fine. We can get that corrected before we sign it.
Okay.
So that it will be in
Just wanna
proper
make
form
sure
and
you're
nobody
getting
can
the right
question it.
thing.
Selectman Whiteside?
I was just going to comment that I had occasion to tour your business. It's interesting.
And?
I no longer drink, but I've had occasion to try your product. It's also very
Thank
good.
you.
Okay.
Selectman Slavin?
I'll make the motion. Licensing Board of Town of Wareham, Massachusetts hereby grants a special farmer's winery license to expose, keep for sale, and sell at a farmer's market to Honet Village, 150 Honet Road, Wareham, to Westport Rivers, Inc., Robert Russell, manager, 417 Hicksville Road, Westport, Mass. This license is granted and accepted upon the express conditions that the license shall in all respects conform to provisions of the Liquor Control Act, Chapter 138, Section 15F of the general laws, as amended, and any rules or regulations made therein under by the licensing authorities. The license expires November 27, 2013, unless earlier suspended, canceled, or revoked. In testimony whereof the undersigned have hereto affixed their official signatures on this 23rd day of July 2013. The hours are 2 to 6 p.m., June 12th through November 22nd. It's basically, what that should say is every Wednesday from June 12th to November 27th. And then 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on October 12th and October 13th.
Second.
Motion made by Selectman Slavin and seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 400. We will have the office put the correction in for Wednesdays and then October 12th and 13th. Perhaps you could write that right on the face of that, Clerk Slavin, and return it to the office and have them prepare it correctly. And thank you for that.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
All right, thank you. Good night.
Just briefly, I believe Mr. Sullivan would like to interject with something. Not on you. You're all set. Thanks. So go ahead, Mr. Sullivan.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I meant to get this out during the announcements, and I'd ask that Mr. Buckminster come forward, please. And I promise you can leave after this. Last Friday at Shell Point in the afternoon, there was an incident of a near drowning, and Mr. Buckminster was the difference between us having a tragedy and somebody's life being saved. I received a written communication from Onset Fire commending his actions. I've spoken to the acting chief Walsh, who's commended him, and it's with a lot of pride that I thank Mr. Buckminster for what he did and his efforts. He's not just a referee between us and the boaters. He's going out there, and he's helping, he's saving lives, and he's one of the people I'm very proud to work with. So I thought it was important that this board and community know about it and just say thank you, Gary, and I really appreciate it. And this is too little to say, but I really wanted to get it out there. Thank you.
I really appreciate it. It's a joint effort of everybody. Onset Fire, Wareham Fire. We had 2 calls back to back with near drownings. Everybody responded within record time, as far as I'm concerned. We had our patrol boat left from the pier with two deputies on board. One went by truck and another one by the all-terrain vehicle to that location. Two of our deputies entered the water from the beach. 2 came in from the boat, and they were able to pull the gentleman in and start initial resuscitation, basically, and got the water out of him and got him into shore. But it was also a swimmer bystander that ran in to try and help the gentleman that had vanished, and he ran into trouble also. So it was one of the things that you always talk about, where the rescuer turns into being a victim also. So, and we do see that on a regular, it's happened before. It's people run in and they get in trouble, and it's just a trickle effect once in a while here. So. I do appreciate that. It's the crew that went out and did it, and then the 4 individuals on our department: Pam Pike, Mike McGuire, Nick Bergioli, and Jeremy Quinn. Those were the 4 that went for the initial response. Onset Fire was there within seconds after us, and it just followed suit with the police officers and everybody, and everybody went to that point at once, and it just was a pretty chaotic scene. And then to load the ambulance up, and next thing you know, we're running across town to Swiss Beach for a 3rd one. So you don't know. It's a dangerous area. I mean, it happens, unfortunately, and it'll continue. And it's just one of those things. So everybody did their job, and everybody did a great job. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're glad to have you. Next item, please.
Before we continue, I'd just like to thank our harbor master. He's been right at the forefront of the new initiatives we put forth, the parking initiative, the trash initiative, and he's taken a lot of brunt of a lot of people being angry and upset, which is he's just basically doing his job as instructed by town administrator and by policy and guidance of the Board of Selectmen. So again, I'd like to thank him because he's been very professional, and he has listened to people, and he has not blown them off, etc. And he does have concern.
And love every minute of it. Thank you.
Thank you. On sewer business, we have no other sewer business, and the funding source for Contract 2 is one of our workshops scheduled for August. Next item would be, any of the board have any guidance for the town administrator for the coming year? Besides signing all kinds of papers.
Cheap.
Selectman Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I continue to drive this point, and I understand that, and the system's been in place for 3 days. I happen to take pictures a lot and send them to Mr. Slavin. Just about every city I go to, I find kiosks, don't I?
Yes, you have.
And it's a legitimate funding source for the town. It's a legitimate request of people to park their car there, to pay a fee to park. The revenue that's generated, everyone will have their hands out later looking for a piece of that revenue. And it's my experience in the kiosk business that your first priority is to buy more kiosks. The goal of the program is to have all spaces everywhere in town where we can collect money for parking to have a kiosk. You know, there's been some discussion, maybe next summer, having a summer jobs program where we're not tying up high-paid police officers or other people to just kind of hang at the lots. You know, high school kid program from May to or June to September. There's been a lot of issues. We own a lot of land, and anywhere on those town-owned areas, we should have kiosks, whether they're fields or parking lots or anything else. Now, when you listen to some of the citizens, I mean, these folks have great ideas. You know, if you park at Logan, right, it's so much an hour. But then there's a maximum at the end of the day, right? You only pay so much a day. You don't have to pay on a 24-hour clock. So these are things that you could work in, I think, to the parking program, right? So that, you know, to park on the pier, I don't know if it's $2 an hour, it's $48. What's a little ridiculous? But you could have a maximum of 20 for the day or something like that, right? I mean, that's standard in most parking garages. So my advice, since that's what this agenda item is to not slow down. I'd like to see a bunch more of those kiosks bought before Thanksgiving, using the revenue that you have. And I think that the more you build that up, now that parking revenue is generated on 12 months a year, not on just weekends, right? So wherever you park the car, you can work out these, you know, I know that we've talked before about resident stickers, being able to use your, the dump sticker there. I just got one of those to park somewhere and not get a ticket, right? It's your prerogative as to how you roll that out. But the last piece of advice I'd give you is I really do agree with people, and we're new at this, so it is new. But because it's new, I think we need to do a little more advertising, a little more education to the folks that are coming into town and the people who live here to say, hey, you know, we've been talking about kiosks for a long time, don't get me wrong, but you can't mistake that as educating the citizenry that we're putting kiosks in a parking lot. It's two different stories, right? So signage, press, town website, anywhere we can, Derek, I would just advise that if we could do a little more of that sort of thing, like the trash in, trash out. I just think sometimes we talk about it here and we assume everybody knows about it, and they don't, as you can tell, right? So I just think we need to do a little better job, all of us, at communicating these programs in advance. But I think steady the wheel, stay on the course, and it's all going to work out in the end. We're going to have some bumps in the beginning, but anything we can do to avoid those bumps, like educate and communication, I think will be a great help. So good job.
Mrs. Whiteside?
Thank you. Do you have anything for Derek, Selectman Whiteside?
No, he knows where I'm.
Selectman Holmes?
Just did.
Oh. Anything else?
Space?
Selectman Slavin.
My comments basically mirror Mr. Holmes. It's difficult to make change. It's really difficult to make change when we've done something for 20, 30, 40 years, whatever, and you're asking people all of a sudden to change how they do things or how they look at things. The idea of the carry-in and carry-out trash is something that, you know, the board's been in favor of because we need to make a change. We need to change the way people think about the town, how they care about it. It's not a very difficult issue because most of us have never really generated trash and not taken care of it personally. But we can't speak for everybody else. It really is incumbent upon not only this board to present a united front pushing this agenda, but it's also the residents of the town of Wareham, it's the businesses, it's the enforcement, everything all has to go together with proper signage, proper notification, proper communication. It's something that I notice, it's only been a couple of weeks now, but in my area, Peter lives close to me in Tempest Knob. I can definitely say that the boat ramp at Tempest Knob Terrace, it's okay. It's a nice sound. It's all right. As long as it doesn't blow up, we're good. I've noticed a dramatic decrease in a shorter time as 3 weeks on the actual trash being dumped. I don't see people pulling up like they used to, going to the trash barrel after the weekend and dumping their home trash in the barrel, because I used to walk my dog down there and walk through the area. I don't do that anymore, but I go through the area still. My wife and I, we used to go through and clean up the area. I don't see that anymore. So it's happening. Unfortunately, in Onset, because it's such a large concentration of people, we have an issue. But again, if everybody gets involved, I think we can change the mindset of what we have for people who come in and visit the town. We do offer an awful nice beach at virtually no cost. We offer a lot of amenities. I understand people boating, but when you have a mooring is no guarantee of a parking space. It's basically a place where you can put your boat, but the rest of it doesn't come with it. Marinas usually provide, a place to dock your boat. You pay for a spot, which is $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $7,000 or more a year now. A mooring is an inexpensive way to take care of it, but of course you have to come up with parking, which we don't provide really. We provide a mooring fee at a very small price. So these are areas that the town administrator is going to have to sit there, lay out, and figure out with the harbor master what works best overall and what we can do that we can legally do. So again, I know I'm going in a big circle, but what I'm basically saying is that these pieces have to continue to go forward, and as we find glitches, we fix them. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Next on the agenda.
Next on the agenda is town meeting process procedures. I think we took care of that last week when we set up the workshop group to take care of that. So I'm not sure why it's on there again.
Next, please.
Oh, it's that phone again. It's okay. We can put it in the refrigerator. We now have to establish dates and notice of intent for the fall 2013 town meeting.
If you want, I can speed read this right in.
Go ahead. I'm
Save
slow.
your voice. You sound like you're getting a little weary over there.
Just old.
Okay, the first document is the process for calling a town meeting. October 28th, 2013, general business. That's the date of the town meeting, 7 p.m. Tuesday, July 23rd, 2013, Board of Selectmen should establish all dates for the completion of a warrant for the fall town meeting. Friday, August 16th, 2013, last date of post in at least one public place in each precinct. Notice of intention of Board of Selectmen to call the fall town meeting for October 28th, 2013. Bylaw Division 1, Article 1, Section 3, 10 days notice before warrant closes. Friday, September 13th, 2013, last day to submit petitions, articles to be inserted in the warrant. To reiterate, September 13th, 2013, last day to submit articles to be inserted in the warrant. So Wareham Home Rule Charter, Section 2-4C, 45 days or more before a town meeting convenes. Tuesday, September 17th, 2013, Board of Selectmen should officially close the warrant. Friday, September 20th, 2013, last day to post in each precinct and deliver a copy of the warrant to the town moderator and to the chairman of each committee established by Section 2-5 of the Wareham Home Rule Charter. Wareham Home Rule Charter, Section 2-4D, within 3 days of closing of warrant. Monday, September 23rd, 2013, last day to submit to the Finance Committee articles included in the warrant. This is from Bylaw Division 1, Article 1, Section 1, no later than 35 days before town meeting convenes. Thursday, October 3rd, 2013, last day to publish entire warrant in a local newspaper. Wareham Home Rule Charter, Section 2-4D, not less than 14 days before town meeting. And finally, Monday, October 28th, 2013, commencement of annual town meeting. Bylaw Division 1, Article 1, Section 1. Fall town meeting shall be held on the fourth Monday of October. So that is the timeline that has been set. Again, this is what you need to refer to when you're thinking about submitting articles. If you're doing citizens petitions, department heads, of course, have to go through Mr. Sullivan. But anyway, that's that. Now the next item on the agenda.
I'll read that one. That was going to be signed.
You want to?
I'll take care of that.
All right.
I got it.
You got your voice back?
What voice? Before we do that, I have a copy of the schedule for each one of the newspapers here, if they'd like to come up and get it. Make it a lot easier trying to copy all that. Thank you. You're too good.
Thanks.
Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen, notice of 2013 Fall Town Meeting, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Plymouth County, to either of the constables of the Town of Wareham. Greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and in accordance with the provisions of Division 1, Article 1, Section 3 of the bylaws of the Town of Wareham, amended, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the legal voters of the Town of Wareham that the Fall Town Meeting has been called by the Board of Selectmen to be held at 7 p.m. on Monday, October 28, 2013, at which time the business of the town meeting shall be transacted. The last day for submission of articles to be inserted in the warrant is Friday, September 13, 2013. The warrant for this meeting will close on Tuesday, September 17, 2013. And you are hereby directed to serve this notice by posting attested copies thereof in at least one public place in each precinct within the town on or before Friday, August 20th, 2013. Hereof fail not, and make due return of this posting with your doings thereon to the town clerk, given under our hands at Wareham this 23rd day of July in the year of 2013. A true copy, attest Wareham Board of Selectmen, Peter W. Titlebaum, Chairman, Alan Slavin, Clerk, Stephen M. Holmes, Patrick Torpiano, Judith Whiteside. I'll make that as a motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Selectman Slavin to post the notice of the 2013 Fall Town Meeting.
Second.
Seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 400.
Sign those.
I think we've had enough discussion on the trash policy. Next item, please. Sita.
Yeah, hold on a second. Boom, boom. Thank you. Sign that one for me, too.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the letter of approval to seek CPA grant funding. That was from last week. That was the Nature Explore Outdoor Grant that the library was seeking to apply to CPA funding, which has to require that the Board of Selectmen approve and write a letter approving that go before the CPA for a grant. Any discussion? Mrs. Whiteside.
Selectman Whiteside?
Yes, thank you. Although I appreciate the work that went into the presentation that we saw last week, I've done a fair amount of homework on the location, and I've also looked at all of the other places in town that provide nature trails, nature workshops. I noticed in today's paper, one of today's papers, there are 2 additional ones being opened and advertised this week. My personal preference would be not to sign off on this application or forward it to the CPA. On the other hand, because they've gone through the amount of work that they did, the trustees of the library, I guess that I would say that it was reasonable for them to be able to go forward and try and convince the CPA Commission Board of the benefits of their request. So I have a positive and a negative.
Okay. Selectman Holmes, anything on this? Selectman Slavin?
I'm going to have concerns that there'll be the proper people to actually maintain and monitor this particular facility when it's done. It's really open 24/7. It's not going to be blocked off in any way. I'm probably going to go ahead and vote for it to go ahead as far as the letter of approval. Town meeting will make a decision on whether they think it's proper or not.
Okay, and to echo both Selectman Slavin and Selectman Whiteside, there are concerns about costs going forward. There are concerns about securing it. Of course, the flip side of that question is right now it's not a secured area either. So, I mean, but again, I agree that you've done a lot of work on this, and that I don't think we're talking about something so vast that we need to exercise a gatekeeper role here to keep this from going forward. So with that in mind, I guess we should entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we vote to generate a letter of approval to go ahead for the library to ask for a CPA grant from the CPC.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Selectman Slavin and seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? 4-0-0. And thank you for your patience tonight. Next item, please.
Right there. Next up is discussion on the Board of Selectmen Facebook informational page. Mrs. Whiteside.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I'll give you a first
Mr.
shot at it.
Slavin, you've hanging around with you is dangerous.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. I think it's appropriate for us to discuss whether we have a Facebook page for the town, not for the selectmen. That's the way that it's written. In this day and age of immediate media, it seems to me that it's something that we should be looking at. Full disclosure, I do not have a Facebook page. I will never have a Facebook page. My children have tried, including pulling my fingernails out. For people, in my opinion, it's not a great idea. On the other hand, for advertising purposes, for linking to the other things that we have available in this town, I think that we need to talk about whether we want to do it or not.
Selectman Holmes, thoughts?
Well, I think that, just on some of the advice I just gave Mr. Sullivan, that an ongoing conversation in regards to town activity, maybe the parking issues, right? The trash and carry out, and some other things that we're putting into place. A lot of people, Mrs. Whiteside is probably one of the exceptions there. A lot of people have Facebook, and they do. Now, having said that, I think Facebook is a good idea. However, having said that, I don't believe that Facebook requires, if you have like an open page or something, it requires a ton of maintenance. If this is designed to be a blog, absolutely not. No. I would not vote for it in a second. Where people are on there, berating the town and people in the town. We don't need that. So if that's what this is about, is an open dialogue, then I would vote no. If it's designed to provide information to visitors and people who come and visit the town about town, activities that are going on, all in favor of it. So I'm not sure what the purpose of the page was, but if it's to provide the information, I agree this is a good idea.
Yeah, Mr. Holmes, if I may. It is strictly informational as far as I'm concerned. It is not a conversational aid.
I agree with Selectman Holmes. Let's leave the blogging to the private sector. Selectman Slavin?
Mrs. Whiteside and I have been working on a few things on communication. This is one piece. The other piece, of course, is the actual town website, which will fall into place hopefully shortly as well, where we'll have links and informational pieces will be there, so it'll be easy to get to, understand what's happening, and you'll have a little thing will say Facebook. It'll be a little logo piece you can click in and out. You can also go from Facebook, you can go over and move over into the town website. But there'll be a lot of links to go back and forth, and we constantly, biggest problem we have in town is what I call communication or lack of, and it causes most of our problems and most of our issues. So hopefully this will begin to get us into the 21st century. So within a 24-hour frame of time, anything happening in town should be out in front of the public. Thank you.
Excuse me, were you able to speak with Mr. Pina?
Yes. Yes, we've also spoke with Sal Pina from CEDAR, and CEDAR does have certain funding that will allow us to bring on some help and help us with the website as well. So again, this is what I will call a multi-pronged effort to go ahead and get something done.
I just have one question to the proponents here. Who is going to be responsible for content?
Yeah, he and his shadow. I think we need to get more into
The nuts and bolts.
the nuts and bolts of it before we figure that out, and that's part of what needs to be figured out. In coming up with this idea, I think that the design of the page needs to be about 33% town content, and then maybe 33% linking to businesses in town, and then opportunities for, looking at our celebrations as we go forward, so that it really is an informational page. I'm not sure of the percentages, and again, don't ask me anything about Facebook.
Selectman Slavin?
I think it's an immediate way of getting information out.
Another piece of this also is I went to a seminar some time ago where a professor from Northeastern University offers a program where they go into a town and the school comes in, it's a graduate program, they analyze the town and they do a lot of in-depth work, and they come back out with a lot of information of what the town is, what it does, where it could go, etc. It's a program which the focus group, which we've put together, happened to get a comment about from one of the participants, and I forwarded it off to Mr. Sullivan, who's looking into it. We actually have one of the participants has actually offered to pay a portion of the cost of this particular work that gets done. It's not for free, obviously, at the school. So we're looking into this, and this also will dovetail into this whole idea of communication. So Mr. Sullivan hopefully will get back to us within another 30 days, I would expect. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot on that.
Mr. Sullivan, do you have anything to add to this, since your name has just been taken in vain?
No, I don't do that.
We have some departments that are actively running a Facebook page. The harbor master just put one together for informational purposes, and I agree. There's one of the hardest things is to get the information out there, because we'll do press releases, we'll speak about it openly. Besides being able to have open forums, which some people attend, it's still not going to reach everybody, and a lot of the times when things get out, it is unfortunately incorrect, and it runs, such as people having to pay who are handicapped or disabled veterans. And those are the types of things that I think this will help if people have a chance to look at it and have a reference point that actually comes from the town. So I agree with the idea.
Selectman Whiteside?
Again, one other comment. To tell you how quickly it works, my daughter, who lives in Washington, D.C., texted me one morning saying, "Please, Mommy, go to the police station and rescue this dog." And I don't carry my cell phone. I don't answer my cell phone. But when I did look at it later on that day, I texted her back and I wanted to know how she had found out about a dog at the police station in Wareham, Massachusetts, when she lives in Washington, D.C. And she said, Facebook. And I was able to actually find the page where she had found about this dog, which thankfully was reclaimed by its owners. But it's not just for those of us sitting in the room or who might actually be here. It could be a marketing tool for people who want to move to Wareham, people who would be, surfing the web looking for information about awesome places to live. So, who do take care of their lost dogs.
Well, seems like there's a good appetite on the board for this going forward, so we'll put it back on the agenda in a couple of weeks and come back to it once the proponents can think a little more about it. Thank you for the idea. Next item, please.
Next item is discussion on condensing town committees. If you'll put up with me for a few more minutes. We've been having issues, as everybody knows, getting volunteers to step up and basically get enough people on committees so they can actually, vote, etc. Some committees are advisory, others have certain duties to perform. I know being on a lot of committees over the years, it gets very frustrating when you can't seem to get past the hump, as I call it, and you can't get something actually accomplished. It's very frustrating to sit there week after week, 2-3 years, and go down the line and really haven't done anything that you feel satisfied with. We appreciate volunteers and what they do, but if we can't give them something they can accomplish and kind of hold it up and say, here's what I've done, it's hard to maintain and keep them. So the idea on this particular condensing was taking a look at 3-4 committees that may have similar synergies, and instead of having a committee with 3, another one with 5, maybe we end up having a committee of like natural resources, we can call it, as one idea, with, say, 9 to 11 members, which sounds unwieldy. But what happens is you take that, say, 9 members, and they in turn break themselves up into what we call subcommittees. One does open space, one does minor forest, and we have the fields and grounds. It sounds easy, but it's not easy to put them all together. But what happens is you have a body of, say, 9 people, so when you have a project to do, everybody's all part of that one committee, but yet you can have people who have a special interest in one area handle a smaller group. It's an idea which I think is possible. This board has to talk about it a lot more because it's not simple to enact, but the idea is maybe that time has come where we kind of condense things down and make it so people can actually perform and get something done, because they need more assets and we just don't give them enough right now. That's the idea.
Selectman Whiteside?
Yes, thank you. In working on this with Mr. Slavin, we have discovered that there are several committees, organizations, commissions, whatever, that don't even exist. And I'm looking at the information directly from our website. So, for instance, we actually have taken care of a couple of them, the Tremont Nail and the Clean Water, but the Dog Bylaw Committee has completed its task and therefore doesn't need to exist anymore. The Westfield study may, in fact, have completed its task and therefore may not, in fact, exist anymore. Thank you. Where's the other one?
Wind energy.
The wind energy apparently has completed its task, and therefore, because it was created by the town meeting, it doesn't exist anymore. So in creating a natural resources commission or something, we can put a lot of these areas where people do have interests, and they are important interests, put them in one board, commission, whatever, and ensure that people who are interested in helping the town, in moving the town forward, have the ability to do so. It's very hard to be on a committee when there are 5 of you and only one person actually has a current appointment. Several of our boards and commissions have no members. So this was an idea that Mr. Slavin and I have been kicking around, and I've discussed it with other members as well, not in illegal meetings. So I support what Mr. Slavin is saying.
Well, thank you. Selectman Holmes. Yeah, there's an awful lot.
I agree.
Thank you. There's an awful lot to this, and to the two selectmen who've taken the lead on this, you may want to start discussing with town council what logically can be condensed and what we have to maintain as separate in accordance with general laws or regulations. So in order to develop specific proposals, that might be something, sort of the next phase. But I think you're right. I mean, we just, the Standard Times recently had an editorial on this, and it's kind of funny that they had the editorial, and apparently you two were working on the idea simultaneously with them commenting on the difficulty we've had in town getting people to serve on committees, the vacancies that are on the committees, and how hard it is to fill them, how hard it is to retain people when they get on. This isn't a knee-jerk reaction to that. I think it was a realization by a couple of our selectmen, and coincidentally, the Standard Times at the same time, that this is an issue. And it's been an issue for a while. This isn't something that just popped up. This goes back. I think there's something like 42 boards, committees, and commissions in town, or something like that. And it's if the average one has 5 members, you're talking about finding over 200 people to volunteer time, probably once a month or more. And that's difficult to do these days. We're grateful for the people who serve on multiple committees, certainly. There are some people on as many as 8 or 9. On the other hand, it may be more productive for them to serve on 4 or 5 committees that actually can accomplish something. So I thank you for your initiative, and we'll keep this going forward as an agenda item. Selectman Whiteside?
For the record, we were working on it well before the editorial. Really?
Thanks. Okay, next item, please.
Any town business not reasonably anticipated 48 hours prior to the posting of the meeting.
Does anybody have anything of an urgent nature?
I have one thing that came up when we were discussing, actually, before we were talking about certain events, and we kind of hit on it last week, and at the last minute I picked up some paperwork on a couple events coming in August about the issue of parking and stuff with the events, and I have one here that says parking arrangements, says street parking on August 3rd for the Blues Festival. I'm wondering if we should ask Mr. Sullivan, who's really in charge of this, to look into that to find out if there's going to be, what the parking is going to be and pay, and how it's going to be done, if it's going to be paid parking somewhere on our fields or what for the festival. Because right now, all it says under the arrangements, it just says street parking.
We just received another one for the Harvest Moon, and we've held off on signing that until we need to figure out what our plans are. We also, speaking with the acting municipal maintenance or interim municipal maintenance director, Mr. Menard, for these evenings, what are our costs if our staff are the ones that are blocking that off, collecting the money? What are our costs in relation to what the estimated collections would be? Are we going to partner with these organizations? Those are some of the things we talked at the last Selectmen's meeting, I believe. And I think this is an ongoing issue that we're going to have to figure out, but sooner, much rather than later. I know one of the festivals for the parking, when they park on the grass, even sells a memorial motorcycle pad, and that's part of their revenues. So there's been a lot of interesting things going forward.
Selectman Whiteside?
I thought we had put this back on the agenda for next week when we expected the question of porta potties and paid parking in town areas. I thought we had already put that back on the agenda for next week.
I believe we did, but the only reason I brought it up was I happened to pull the paperwork just to see where we stood, and these issues came out that there's nothing down for parking at all, and the events are almost here, so I just want to bring it up for something for next week so we know ahead of time.
Yes, we don't want Selectman Holmes driving by and seeing other people charging money on our parking lots. That's not a good thing.
Look, I'm really sticking to this parking business. We, folks, are sending people home from their jobs. We are cutting services. We are doing all these reductions in our schools, in our police department. Everything, we're cutting to the bone here. And the one source that we have, I won't say never, because you never say never, but we have not captured is parking. I mean, every week. I say the same thing every week. It's getting to be a broken record. We have a key. I had somebody call me, ask me about, oh, hey, can we use the free lot and charge for it? We have a kiosk in there now. Town-owned land, when you put vehicles on there, if there's anybody collecting that money, it should be Mr. Sullivan and his people, the town. People who go to use the railroad guy's explanation a few weeks ago, people from these organizations who don't have a signed agreement with the Board of Selectmen, and they're the only ones who can allow that, are technically trespassing by charging for something on town property without permission. I mean, come on, folks. You got business people complaining. Look at all the money that's being collected on just Lopesfield alone. Forget everything else. Lopesfield alone, we haven't collected a dime. People go out and set up a little table. We don't even know who they are. They've never come in here for a piece of paper. So, I think we need to figure this out. We're paying people, I understand the legal man there might shake his head at me, but there is an exchange of work for cash in $750 for the senior work-off folks. Technically, we don't give them a check, but we give them a credit, right? We already have staff to do this. It only takes a couple of people to sit there and collect money at the gate. The policeman comes by every few hours and grabs the money so that nobody can have an issue. And I think the next place that we put the kiosk, myself, is Lopesfield, but that's your business, right? And then you have somebody sit there and make sure we get the maximum number of cars in that lot and pay that person a few bucks or use the tax incentive people to do that. But this stuff of giving away parking in thousands and thousands of dollars while we're sending people home and cutting trash pickup and doing all this other stuff, it doesn't make any sense to me. So I'll stop there, but my story is going to be the same every week. And I got to tell you that I don't know what people did 72 hours ago, but we have always collected money on that pier, as far as I can remember. There's somebody sitting there in that booth when you go through and you pay an hourly fee. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Through you to Mr. Sullivan.
What was
Since you've been here?
Yeah, what was happening before was the openings were up, and they would come in before the workers came in, park in there, and leave after they left for the evening, and there'd be no fee. So they were, that's how the parking.
When somebody
spots-
was in the booth
But, correct, yes.
and you drove up to that booth, did you not pay by the hour?
You did.
So I'm not sure I understand what the big deal is over 72 hours ago when you put a kiosk there. You paid by the hour before. And the people who got away with the parking were the people who came in late, or came in early and left late. They didn't pay anything.
Correct.
Well, everybody else paid.
Correct.
So it wasn't free then.
No.
And really, after a certain hour, those cars should have been ticketed and towed for being there overnight.
They should have been removed from the lot.
So you know, the issue of putting a kiosk somewhere 72 hours ago, I don't believe, people paid to use that lot before. So, as I said, you know, continue the course. But this stuff of giving away all this revenue, listen, the organizations make good money on the town at the band shell, and they sell their product. And I think, as the manager, you need to capture that revenue for the town, as opposed to having unsanctioned people collecting money that nobody's approved in town-owned property where something is bound to happen, God forbid, and there's no document that says those people can be in there. We're going to end up on the hook. God forbid a kid get hit by a car in one of those lots when somebody's charging $5 or $10 and it's not sanctioned by the town. So I think you need to be very careful here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other last-minute business?
Town Administrator's report.
I think most people have heard enough from me tonight. Yeah, the one thing, you've heard it a few times tonight, and we've spoken about it, that we have brought forward Lieutenant Walsh, Kevin Walsh, as the acting chief during Chief Stanley's medical leave. So he is the one that is in control of the Wareham Police Department. So that would be my announcement. Thank you.
And just on that same point, per your release to us, Lieutenant Walchek is now the acting emergency management manager. Is that the correct term for what he does?
Yes, he is acting as the emergency manager.
Okay, just thought it was important for people to get that out, especially when hurricane season starting up here. So,
yeah, that's so we have both of them splitting the duties, and I have every faith in both of them in that capacity.
okay. Next, please.
Any reports from members from different committees they're assigned to? Mrs. Whiteside?
No.
Mr. Holmes? I've got one. The planning board met last night, and during the discussion, the TDR, the sign bylaw, and the marijuana clinic bylaw are all in process of being attempted to get done for fall town meeting. Mr. Sullivan was going to be checking on his end with the town departments that are involved in getting the paperwork ready as well. We'll get back to everybody in another week or so to make sure that it stays on track. We have public hearings we have to do, and the time frame is very tight to make fall town meeting. The first meeting of the Finance Committee as reconstituted is tomorrow night at, I believe, 6:30 at the Multi-Service Center, room 225. That's all I have.
Selectman Holmes?
I didn't hear what you said. Did you say we're having another meeting with that TDR group, the planning group? Is that what you said?
We'll have, we're going to have a public hearing that they will do from the planning board because they're the zoning.
Do you have a date?
I believe it's in August. I'll get you a date for the next meeting. They just discussed it last night. I think it's the second week.
Just to follow up on Selectman Slavin's observation that the reconstituted FinCom will meet for the first time tomorrow night. I'd like to welcome and thank the 3 new members for stepping up and volunteering to serve on a board that does an awful lot of work and takes a very strong commitment of time and energy to be able to do the work. So I'd like to thank those 3 citizens for doing that.
A motion to adjourn. Go ahead.
Yeah, so why don't you step up to the mic, Jerry?
What I'm talking about is that bump out on Toby Hospital, where you were supposed to paint a white line because people can't see it, because they had to, when they get the siren,
Hasn't been done
Yes, this was quite a while ago, and you were supposed to get hold of maintenance to go put a white line over there where people can see it, because at night you cannot see that bump out. And
yet. It's cedar. That,
yeah, I know, you were supposed to see Sal Pena, and he was supposed to have a paint paint that
no.
bump out, because people couldn't see it. When the police has emergency or the fire department has emergency coming around that corner and people got to get over, they forget about that thing and go right over that bump out. And you said it right here that you were going to put a white line, a nice white line there.
Jerry,
You
will
can see it. And it was told not that I want to give the town administrator, you said that he would get a hold of maintenance. Don't say it. If you go look at the minutes, you're going to get a hold of maintenance to go paint a line.
Jerry, when I have a chance, I'll check with Mr. Pena on cedar, because that was something that Mr. Walton actually gave us an actual drawing and a diagram that we received 2 weeks ago.
No, because when emergency, the fire department stuff coming, people go over.
No.
Yeah, well, the stuff near the bridge in that intersection was done by the state. That was at the same time. Oh, right across from M&D's, we need that white line there. Yeah, that's got to get done.
I'll give a copy of Mr. Walton's drawing, which is very detailed, to the town administrator.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Okay, motion made by Selectman Slavin and seconded by everybody else. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained. 400. Good night.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.